Hey, today Starfield received the worst news, such as game-breaking bugs will be fixed in a future update, not to mention including the reviews have drastically dropped since releasing. Let's go ahead and dive right into this. The fact is, Starfield launched as one of the hottest games in September, but it seems as if things took a turn for the worse. First, I will say that I had a lot of fun and excitement out of playing Starfield, but at the same time, I'd like to say that there are, some things that just didn't settle well with me. And there were times where I felt like things were a bit outdated in terms of dialogue choices and some gameplay mechanics. I will be giving my honest opinion about the game at the end, but for now, let's take a look at the Steam reviews because it appears that Starfield has received quite a few negative reviews over the past few months. Interesting enough, the reviews were different from prior. If you take a look on the screen here, this is a screenshot from a month ago, and here are the reviews currently as of right now. So, how did it get to this point? Well, the lack of communication and game-breaking bugs over the past 2 months has really frustrated a good portion of the player base. The beta patch as of late did not help either. The DLS support is amazing without a doubt. Yet the only issue that I personally have is that the recent beta patch is really bugged to where I think once it hits Xbox, there will be for sure some new bugs introduced into the game. The biggest one I have dealt with so far is downgraded weapons, as most of you already know. But what's worse is that some of the bugs that we would like to see fixed will not be in the next patch. Instead, you can expect the asteroid bug to be resolved in a future patch. So what this means is even if the patch is released this month for Xbox and PC, you will still experience the asteroid bug regardless, which of course can be quite frustrating. Now, if you have seen my previous video, then you may have seen this screenshot right here, which says, what do I do if I have an asteroid stuck to or following my starship? Right here down below, it says, we are aware of an issue that some players have persistent asteroids following their ship. This will be resolved in a future update. This is the same for the crew bug that's currently going on right now. If you're not too aware of that issue, pretty much when you swap or change your ship, what can happen is that you can lose some of your crew permanently, so they're kind of just out there in the unknown. I couldn't tell you what's happening, but yeah, it's pretty much a huge problem, and some have been experiencing as of late. And last but not least, the other huge bug that's going on that's going to be fixed in a future update can be found right here. What do I do if I have another starship stuck to my ship? The developers say right here on the bottom, we are aware of an issue that some players have ships stuck to their starships. This will be resolved in a future update. The problem is with all these updates is that even if it were to happen, is it going to be too late? Because when they talk about future updates, this could be probably after the latest beta patch, or I should say the final patch once it is released this month. So once you do see that, you're probably going to see another update about a month later. Then at this point, is it even worth waiting? That's a good question I think I have to ask a lot of you. Are you going to wait this out till the very end and receive another patch just to fix your issues in the game? Or are you just going to move on and say, hey, I think it's better off if I just play a different game? Which is kind of where I'm, aiming at right now. Because sadly, Starfield, I thought it was going to turn out to be a beautiful game where a lot of us can enjoy it almost buggy free. Sadly, that is not the case, but let's go ahead and talk about the game in general. Is it worth picking up a month later? First off, I want to talk about the dialogue and choices because I feel like the game here definitely lacked a lot of options. Now, when I think of an RPG game, I imagine creative dialogue options that allow you to get out of certain situations if you were to get caught, or perhaps something that just didn't go well, right? Although Starfield does have options like this, yet what's interesting is that you do not have the ability to use your faction to get you out of being scanned or just to give you some sort of unique options. For example, if you join the UC Vanguard at some point in your adventure, eventually you will get the chance to join them and become a part of the team. The strangest thing is that even though you are a part of the UC, there is no option to tell the folks orbiting the planet that, hey, you are part of the UC Vanguard, so, kind of just let me go through. Which, if that was a possibility, that would have definitely added a lot of immersion. Some characters or factions, for instance, the faction known as the Crimson Fleet, initially portrayed as a ruthless gang, turned out to be the softest faction that is supposed to be the toughest gang to deal with. Regrettably, Bethesda has followed the traditional formula for dialogue options in Starfield, kind of just rendering the game not the worst, but certainly not the best RPG to date. The issue lies in the fact that the RPG games have evolved significantly over the years, and it seems Bethesda is straddling the line between the past and the present. While, they are comfortable with the familiar dialogue choices, some basic options, they did something different and challenged themselves to incorporate a spaceship into the game with full-on customizable options. Which is quite exciting because if you have been a fan of Bethesda's games, then you certainly know that this is something that is new to them, like just creating all this stuff. And if you did not know, they actually recreated the whole entire engine for Starfield, which is pretty cool. However, the decision had its drawbacks for many players, as some anticipated a full-fledged space exploration experience similar to No Man's Sky or even Outer Wilds. Disappointingly, this wasn't the case, as it required you to go through loading screens when traveling to different systems, landing on planets, and navigating through doors leading to different areas. This design choice collectively resulted in a somewhat underwhelming experience for players who found it cumbersome to navigate through so many hoops just to reach their desired destination. While games like Cyberpunk, for example, had a massive world with no loading screens in-game, so everything worked out flawlessly when traveling around. If you can set aside concerns about loading screens and aren't bothered by familiar dialogue choices and instead focus on gameplay and core mechanics, then I believe you will find this game to be an enjoyable RPG nonetheless. The planets, on the other hand, is somewhat debatable for most. While some find joy in exploration, others offer more of a harsher feedback, I suppose. For instance, some have conveyed that the planets seem barren, absent of life, and lacking the excitement needed to keep some engaged, which I completely understand. Moving on towards impactful choices and consequences. Starfield falls short in this aspect. The decisions you make lack significant consequences in the overall narrative. The only difference here would probably be the factions, kinda. One that stands out is Crimson Fleet. Depending on your choice, if you align with the fleet, they become friendly, while on the other hand, the SysDev turns hostile, which can be quite drastic, right? You might think, okay, I need to kind of think my choices through. And then if it's vice versa, if you choose to betray the Crimson Fleet, they will be after you, and then SysDev will be friendly. Apart from that specific faction, there is really nothing that will keep you on the edge of your seat wondering if you made the right choice, which is something that I often felt when I played some of the Bethesda games in the past, whether that be Fallout 3, Fallout 4, or even Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, you name it, Elder Scrolls. These are a few examples of the games that have made me just feel like, okay man, did I make the right decision? If not, I'll just load up my recent save and, do things different. Sadly, Starfield does not deliver that feeling to where I feel like my actual mistakes feel like real life. I know that seems ridiculous, but some of the games in the past actually felt like that, where I was nervous to make the decision, and Starfield definitely does not deliver that sensation, that emotion, or anything like that. And last but not least, game-breaking bugs. This is something that you all have been familiar with as of late. The strangest thing is that the game was playable with hardly any issues at all before a certain patch had arrived. Some have speculated that this is due to the update that had removed a few hidden chests that were placed, out of bounds by the developers. The only issue is that once they did take this away, a lot of things have been popping up. So it's kind of up in the air whether or not that is the real issue, but I would like it if you guys discuss that. You let me know what you think. My main gripe with the game is that there's nothing that really seems like a huge game changer with Starfield, besides the option to customize your own ship and take it out to space for combat. This does not mean the game is not enjoyable. What I am saying is that it's certainly not the game of the year, or possibly even close to winning Best RPG. The only thing that I'm really worried about in the end is how is Elder Scrolls 6 going to turn out, or Fallout 5. These are some of the things that does worry me a bit, because I love Fallout and I love Elder Scrolls, but really, if they're heading in this direction where hardly anything is being tested, or at least it feels like that, then if that's the case, they probably need to step up and do a better job of, testing these bugs out. Anyways, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, concerns, or anything like that, comment down below. I'll be answering it, replying back to everything. Let me know how you feel about Starfield. Do you think the reviews are well deserved? What did you dislike out of the game? And all that good stuff. Let me know. Thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.